Yeah. So I had a thought. Maybe it's interesting, maybe it's not. But I was thinking about how this idea about forcing our beliefs on others, and it's generally seen as a bad thing, right? Like we don't like it when people force their beliefs on us. We kind of feel icky about it. But when we look into this, obviously there are times where we force our beliefs on others, and it's seen as like a moral good thing. So this happens on like a small level. Uh, so an example would be like parents forcing their kids to eat their vegetables, or forcing our beliefs about nutrition and how you ought to eat healthily onto our kids. And even on a bigger scale, about like forcing our beliefs on like serial killers, about our views about how you we ought not murder. And that's kind of seen as a good thing, right? Forcing certain beliefs is a good thing, while forcing other beliefs, such as maybe like a fundamentalist Christian forcing their beliefs about traditional marriage, onto their like gay son or something, would be seen as like a bad thing. So what is like the trait that justifies within a belief that justifies a forced belief? Uh, and that question's like been super interesting to me recently because it's there's a lot of like nuance to it. Um, so a lot of people, a lot of like libertarians especially, will come in and they'll say, yeah, so as long as it doesn't harm others, so let people believe what they want to believe as long as it doesn't harm others. And that's kind of like an interesting thing to say because when um when are you not harming somebody in some way, no matter what action or belief you hold? So take like the serial killer, right? If this serial killer has great pleasure and joy, excuse me, great pleasure and joy from like committing his murders, and we're denying him that, are we causing him some harm? Um, so maybe like a more interesting thing or more like accurate thing to say would be, right, well, let people believe what they want to believe as long as it doesn't increase suffering on a whole. Okay, very good. Seems interesting. So, I guess a weird kind of thought experiment that comes into question, at least for me, that kind of just pops into my head. Suppose you had like a handful of people that could like supply power to the whole earth, but in order to do that, um we had to you know put them in cages and just pretty much give them a life of like torture. But the benefits and the well-being of this added power um is greatly higher than the suffering that they receive in these like cages. And the majority of us kind of have this belief that this is like the best option. It's better for the environment. It gives us so much energy. We can power countries and cities and towns, um, essentially for free. It it's saving the polar ice caps, and it's doing all this good stuff. But we have these like handful of people in these cages, um, where there's not an increase of suffering, right? But I kind of weird. I don't know if we really want that to happen, right? Okay, so forcing our beliefs that like we ought to have this power onto uh these like handful of individuals, maybe not a good thing. Okay, even in this like weird hypothetical situation, um, I don't know if that would be a good thing. Like it seems kind of boo, to me. So maybe we have more of like a rights based, right? Like let people believe what they want to believe as long as it doesn't violate the rights of another. Now, like putting aside the interesting aspects of like who decides um what rights are and what's like the law, what's like the objective foundation of like what is a right and who has it. Putting that aside because that's a whole interesting conversation. But like, see, there's like we have a foundation of like people have rights. Um, so like let people believe what they want to believe as long as it doesn't violate the rights of another. Well, what if someone has a belief, kind of reversing the situation about like suffering? What if someone has a belief that doesn't necessarily violate the rights of another, but like greatly increases um suffering? Um, so like maybe someone has a belief that like you need to eat 6 cups of sugar every day and never exercise. And we can even like go like way extreme. Maybe someone has like the belief, maybe there's some drug that can't kill you, but um, greatly like increases suffering in the world every time you take it. And someone holds like the belief that we ought to um, take this. I don't know. I'm ranting, but I think you can kind of understand what I'm getting at. That there's a lot of nuance between beliefs and forcing our beliefs on others, and when we should and when we shouldn't, and like the actual trait um, that like justifies that. It gets very gray and it gets very interesting. And there's kind of like obviously like we do want to force our beliefs on others sometimes, and sometimes we don't. And uh, trying to understand when that is gets very interesting, very interesting. Um, so I'd love to like I guess discuss um, when you guys think that is, or what trait you guys think that is, because I think it's a very interesting topic. Anyways, I don't know if that made sense. I don't know if my like rant and like this train just like going off course and me like I don't know half falling asleep while I'm talking. I don't know if this made any sense, but uh, yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking tonight. So I don't know. Adios. Goodbye.